So today we're going to be reacting to Candace Owens' newest podcast about her sit down with Kirk. I've already seen that she's gotten a lot of dislikes. So let's see what we're getting into.
Okay, everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I just want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody back at home. Happy Hanukkah.
Bruh.
To our greatest friends and allies. And, this is a good time to mention that Israel does have a right to defend itself. Tucker Carlson is Adolf Hitler. And TikTok does need to be purchased by the Mossad. It's just how I'm feeling today. I am not different. Maybe you are different.
She's trolling hard as fuck, man.
Welcome back to Candace.
I think she got the call.
Okay, you guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely crazy. The amount of people who attacked me for sending out a tweet being like, hey, I'm good, I'm alive. We had a very productive conversation. And they were like, she got the call. She got the call. She's betrayed us. She's doing something else. I can't believe it. This has all just been a show. Calm down, okay? What do you think happened? Erica said, stop. And then I was frozen for 4 hours and 30 minutes, just like, as I just put all of these talking points into my head. That is not what happened. I keep telling you guys, I am not governable. I am basically akin to Kanye West. I never felt more seen than when he tweeted a lot of years ago, just fired my manager because I realized I can't be managed. That is me. That tweet right there, I was like, oh gosh, yes, Kanye, I get this, okay? Nobody is changing their mind anything. Well, how ridiculous would it have been if I'm doing all of this, investigating, asking all of these questions, and then Erica Kirk offers to answer some of these questions, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. I can't betray people. I don't want any answers to the questions. I just want to ask them. No, this is the entire reason we are doing this. We've been looking at the situation going, why can't Turning Point USA just answer basic questions? And I can tell you guys that yesterday, for 4 hours and 30 minutes, there were no rules. They said you can ask us any question that you want, anything that's on your mind, which I appreciated. And some of you guys are thinking, who is they? Who is they? It's the Jews, obviously. Just kidding. It's Justin Strife.
Bro, she trying to get herself canceled, and I guess be canceled too for reacting to this.
Strife was in the room. It was just Justin Strife and Erica. George joined me just for the beginning portion of the conversation because he had that thing going on that I told you on the 15th all day. He was in a conference. And then I brought my cousin Mia, the one that has a really bad attitude. I just bring her there for vibes. I think it just confuses people. They're like, I don't understand what's this person doing here. And the reality is she's like always just listening to Cardi B music. But she's my cousin and I always have her around. And so that was it. She was kind of sitting a little bit away, but at the table it was really just the four of us until George left. And I will be honest, I did not know what to expect going into the room. I did not know if they were going to be open. I didn't know what Erica's energy was going to be like, if it was going to be more of an argument, if there was going to be legal threats. You guys were telling me not to drink water, so I didn't drink water. Well, I brought my own water, but I didn't drink that water too. It was a lot. There's a lot going on, okay? And the conversation started with Justin Strife very sensibly saying, what are we looking to accomplish here? Like, what is the actual aim of this conversation? And he was pretty clear, and Erica was very clear, that they were sort of most upset with obviously a bit of a fever pitch, when I tweeted that it was a God-forsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually...
Yeah. I would definitely say something like, you're threatening our income of our business. So yeah, I definitely would sit down and be like, I'll talk to her or send a legal letter. Obviously, I guess I didn't want to go the legal way because they know Candace is going to put that out on the ether or be like, look at this, TPUSA is threatening me. What are they hiding? Why are they sending me a legal letter? What do they want me to be quiet about? She would have done something like that.
Aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know. I felt like we weren't getting any answers, and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly. I shared with them that I really felt like I was under attack for telling the truth from the very beginning, like casually, when I mentioned the Catholicism thing. Like, what was that about? I was like, look, I say something in a tribute to him. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett then jump onto a podcast and they're doing that weird interview, which is clearly aimed at me. And they've teased the interview as like aimed at me, but they never say my name. And that to me felt like it was the first, I don't know, the first bit of mud that was slung, which their answer for that was, hey, that was a really crazy time. A new system had to be put into place, and by no means did Erica give any person the authority to go out and say that the Catholicism thing was a lie. It kind of turned into this big thing. Whatever. Okay, that kind of obviously was not the meat of the reason that we wanted to sit down. I will say I was immediately refreshed by the fact that one of the first things that Erica did was she owned the lies, or rather, I guess they would cage it as miscommunications that were coming from various people at the company. Like, look, this is a company with 650 people that are employed. Everybody at this time is exceedingly emotional, and they are communicating, and no matter what somebody says on Twitter, they assume that this communication has come down from management, and that's not always a circumstance. But they owned right away, which felt great, that if you guys recall, Erica sat down with Glenn Beck. I actually missed this portion because I didn't get to watch the interview in its entirety, and we were pulling clips because a lot was coming out very quickly. But there was a portion that was going around that was viral, and it was Erica saying that she had Charlie's phone and that Charlie never texted anybody the night before saying that he thought that they were going to kill him. And that obviously reflected poorly on me because I was the one who said that he did, in fact, text multiple people the night before. And then I went on Jimmy Dore on Friday, Jimmy Dore's show, and I clarified. I said, Andrew Colvett told me specifically that he was one of the people that received this text message. So I got that first person. I didn't get that from a source. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. And then somebody who had access to Dan Flood's communications said that Dan Flood similarly received a text message. They owned that right away and explained, Erica said that she has Charlie's phone. She's looking at his iMessages, and it turns out that he, like everybody else, communicates on Signal, he communicates on Telegram, and that when she heard me say that, they then went and looked, and yes, that what I said was true. Andrew Colvett received a message the night before, and Dan Flood received a message the night before. Now, they asked me if I had actually like a concrete a copy of what Dan Flood got the night before, and I said no. He told me what it said, which was almost exactly what Andrew said, which is they're going to kill me. Andrew did not know who that he was referring to were, but they clarified that the message that Dan Flood received said the left is going to kill me. So I can't confirm that one way or the other. I have to trust them on that because I did not see that concrete message. I was told that it said they. Now, obviously, we discussed the moment, and I'm laughing here because you TikTokers are actually out of control. You guys are going to be the reason that Israel gets TikTok because you guys are acting a fool all the time. And the videos were so hilarious of you guys mocking the Barry Weiss interview. It's great. It's good to laugh at ourselves. And Barry Weiss is always worth laughing at. But I was sort of like, hey, I felt name checked by the podcaster, Candace Owens, this obvious setup, and then asking me to stop. And it's interesting to hear Erica say that the reason she didn't ask me to stop in the beginning because she was actually learning things from the show. She was actually learning things, and that I think she similarly felt that Barry Weiss was trying to create a moment. Obviously, it's who Barry Weiss is. It's the Zionist lobby. She's trying to right perceived wrongs because I'm against her side. That does not surprise me. That's kind of why Barry Weiss exists. That's the reason they put her at CBS, is because she's just committed to stacking the audience with people that are going to present the pro-Israel cause and talk about anti-Semitism and talk about like crime being on the rise. It's kind of an embarrassment, but I actually do accept that. And I should also clarify that Barry Weiss obviously picked those questions. They were not random, like I told you. It wasn't like people were coming to the mic and it was an open mic and they didn't know what they were going to get. It was all very much planned by Barry. But Erica said that she knew the general idea, like they were going to mention me and mention the conspiracies, but she was not given that specific, the podcaster, Candace Owens, question. So I think that's fair to clear that up. Now, I did not at all recant any of my suspicions, and I understand people disagree with me about particular people at Turning Point USA. I communicated what I communicated in front of the whole world. My skin crawled after I spoke to Terrell Farnsworth, the person who took the cameras down. He lied to me several times. I explained to them, which felt good to have that direct communication, how Terrell lied multiple times, and that I did not understand why he was there that day. They echoed. Okay, everybody, Shabbat Shalom.
What the heck? Let's see, where am I? I don't know why I did that. I guess I was still live, I guess. Let's just start here.
I still didn't feel good about the conversation that I had with Terrell, and I can't ignore my gut about the many little lies that he told. I thought the video he recorded was weird. I know he comes from a very powerful family. I personally do not trust him. And I obviously do not like the fact that I said, Tyler Boyer lied about this thing and came up with an excuse and said, well, Terrell was asked to take the camera down. That's the reason, he said on Twitter, because the police wanted him to take it down and secure the footage. And I said, I know that's not true. And they said, well, after all of that, after he took the cameras down, there was a police officer.
Yeah, I would say when there was the footage of when the guy went up in there and took the SIM card out of the camera, it was kind of suspicious. But honestly, all of this really is suspicious. I do agree with Candace, how a lot of this does look suspicious, how they didn't lock down the crime scene immediately, no caution tape, nothing at all. What else did they not do? They immediately just I think a week or maybe 10 days later, they just started bulldozing it and then laying over it immediately. That was kind of weird. There are a lot of weird things, but I think the only reason why it's weird is because they're waiting to the trial to put out all the information, so the jurors who could be selected aren't swayed to think one way or another. That's, I think, the main reason why we're not getting all the information from the FBI and TPUSA.
Or Fed, whoever it was that spoke to him and asked him to secure the footage. Well, that makes sense, but it's not a reason for why he took it down immediately. It makes sense that as you're investigating, you're going to say, who's got the footage? Let's lock it down. But it didn't make sense to me that Tyler Boyer lied about it. And I don't trust Tyler Boyer. And that is never going to change. Similarly with Rob McCoy. He makes my skin crawl. I can't explain it. I look at him and he's a bad person and nobody can make me feel one way or the other about that. I was surprised to learn, and this kind of gets into, I guess, us not knowing the inner workings at Turning Point USA, that Rob McCoy actually does not work with Turning Point USA in any capacity whatsoever. And so him communicating as he has done, I'm the pastor, I'm this, I'm that, it's just not real. That is not real. And we should know that that's not real. And when he says that, call him out on that separately from Turning Point USA. I was operating under the assumption that he worked for Turning Point USA. And I said, if obviously that's wrong, I'm happy to correct that. But also, what were we to assume when he hit the stage at the memorial and said, I'm America's pastor, and then had the Wikipedia updated and said, well, I'm assuming he had it updated because who else would do that he started Turning Point USA Faith. So I guess, to be clear, we were just wrong about that. And I will have a lot more to say about Rob McCoy and where I believe he fits into a lot of things. So I'm not letting up on that. Now, one piece of this where I still don't understand it, and the magic bullet. Okay. Now, we all recall what happened. I casually say on the show, hey, I saw the footage, there was no blood. And honestly, when I said it...
Yeah, it wasn't a 308. It wasn't. It's pretty obvious. We've been seeing it all over the internet. People recreating that scene with you shooting a 308. It's not a 308. But the reason why we don't know what caliber it was, because obviously I'm pretty sure they're just waiting to reveal it during the trial. That's really what it is.
I didn't process how big of a deal that was with the 30-06. very quickly what happens is Andrew Colvett whips up this tweet about what happened with the bullet, and he said he wanted to address all the discussion that was being had about the online chatter. I'm obviously paraphrasing here. He says, I apologize, it's going to get graphic, but he spoke with the surgeon. The bullet should have gone through. The surgeon that explained that what he's typically seen on these wounds, and basically this was all a miracle. Charlie saved lives, even in death. And the internet clocked it, this miracle, the healthy bone. His bone was so healthy, and the density was so impressive. Like, this is a quote, by the way. His bone was so healthy. I want to read it. This is allegedly from a surgeon. Quote, his bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. It should have gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. And we were just like, eeh.
Yeah, I didn't believe that either. I was like, what are they talking about, bro? Like, yeah, no.
That kind of was like the beginning of the WTF, right? I feel like that was kind of the beginning of it. And immediately people in the comments responded to Andrew, and he said, this individual said, this post is so fake as it would violate HIPAA. Like, there's patient privacy. You can't just call up the surgeon. And then Andrew Collette replies and says, rest assured, I would not have posted without full permission. Now, he said he spoke to the surgeon, and they confirmed that Andrew spoke to the surgeon, but that they did not know that he was going to write that tweet. They did not know that he called up the surgeon. So, like, it very much came across to me like Andrew was just flying by the seat of his pants. I don't know. Like, he was just flying dark on it. And I was like, that seems very strange to me, because why would a surgeon do that? Like, the first thing the surgeon should say is, I can't speak to you. I don't even know, in theory, Andrew wasn't even there when Charlie died. I don't even know why the surgeon even knows this guy, actually. Maybe he hung around after, but, Andrew was not one of the people that got to the hospital or anything like that. So this is quite literally the PR guy who's calling the surgeon. And so that just seems very inappropriate for a person to do, period. And I would say it was kind of the beginning, but that was what I got from that. Now, obviously we discussed the security. I brought up Brian Harpole, this interview with Sean Ryan, and I think we can believe during the point when they say that they did not approve of this. They had no idea he was going on Sean Ryan. I think that's pretty clear. I don't believe he works there anymore. So that was kind of him, just getting out there and perhaps trying to rescue his own reputation. And I think that only made his reputation worse, actually, because people rightfully sensed that he wasn't telling the truth in that interview, that he was being cagey, that he was saying things that didn't make any sense. Again, you constantly have these people that believe, like Brian Harpole, that with enough performance, he can sit down and you're just going to convince people that this is real. And this is just a different time. Like I said, these TikTokers are out of control. They will check you in 4 seconds. Okay. Things that the biggest piece of this that I want to communicate, and that I did communicate to them, and I hope that they took me seriously on this, or rather that they take my strong advice on this. I said, one of the reasons why I really want to sit down is because I want to walk out of here and feel confident saying to my audience, hey, like, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. Like, that more will come out, but you can take it from me that this is what happened. I was looking to achieve that because there's been a lot of signaling from various people, some people who are experts, some people who have been involved in cases, that there's obviously going to be stuff that the public does not have access to. And so it is at least plausible that they have seen very clear footage that we've been asking for of Tyler Robinson getting up there and taking the shot. Like, they have access to UVU camera. So I was hoping to hear that. And I said that I want to hear why people feel so confident at Turning Point USA that Tyler Robinson is the guy. And at this point, they elected to call the lawyer, like, their lawyer who is involved in this case, one of the lawyers that's involved in this case. There's always a team of lawyers, especially for something like this. And what I got from the lawyer did not make me feel that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. It did not make me feel confident that he didn't or did shoot Charlie Kirk. I was very surprised by this. He spoke a very long time. I asked, can you share with me what it is? And I said, when you share this with me, I will not say what that thing is. If we want to protect the integrity of the case, I'm not gonna. If you say we've got the footage of him taking a shot, I promise I won't say that to the audience, but I will communicate to them that you have something that is solid. And no, to the exact contrary, this guy effectively said, not effectively, he said that they have nothing but the affidavit. Okay, so what we have seen is what they have. What is being discussed publicly, you are this whole non-expert problem with well, you don't know. It's like what you read, his messages that don't have any dates on it, Tyler Robinson writing out everything and the clean alibi, that's what they have. And what he explained to me was that that's the affidavit stage. That's where it's at. And then what takes place now is the investigation is ongoing, right? So right now they're looking for more information. And once investigators, they could very well have obviously footage. And that is why they might feel that, we're definitely gonna get this prosecution. But the reality is they don't actually share that information with the victim. They don't share that information with Erica. They don't, in this part of the process,
Well, Candace already knew that, obviously, that they're not going to share this. I think really she wanted to really just get TPUSA's attention, really. I think that's what she really wanted to do. And obviously she did, and everybody, I can't speak. And obviously she knows and everybody else knows that it's weird how he died and there's no evidence coming out. But I think she already knew that the authorities aren't going to reveal this until the trial comes out. So I think she probably really just did this for really for attention and views because she kind of already knew that. So
will not know what investigators had discovered. This is what the lawyer told me until May. Okay, they have not seen anything that you have not seen. Is what I want you to know. So with that in mind, I'm sitting here going, why are you signaling? Why do I feel like the public's being gaslit on this? There's been nothing that's convincing. There are so many commentators who have gone out and said to you, it's overwhelming. The evidence is overwhelming. The text messages that don't have a date, that don't even sound real, that's overwhelming. That to me feels really fake and gay. I really do want to say that to every commentator that is out there trying to tell the public and insisting that if you say it enough times it'll become real, you're actually just being dishonest. And I offered that a more honest way to communicate would be to say, we think he's involved. We feel strongly, I've said that, I think he's involved. We are very hopeful that throughout this investigation, we are going to get that concrete thing. And that's where we're at right now. That's just the stage that
She's not really revealing anything that really was said, honestly, actual details. I mean, I kind of figured that she really wouldn't because if you guys had a 4-hour conversation, 4.5-hour conversation, they probably, if they really wanted people to know, they would have recorded it and put it out for everybody else to make their own opinion. So,
are at. That is not what we are getting from them. That is I just feel like that's really important to let you guys know. Let the gaslighting stop. They have what you have, okay? There is nothing else. They are in an investigative stage. Erica has been named as the victim. They will know more in this May hearing, which is the probable cause hearing. That's what the lawyer told me, it's probable cause hearing, and that's when they will see the evidence. That's when they get to present the evidence, why they are going to stand there before the judge and be like, yes, we need to move this forward. It's not just an affidavit. We're not pulling together scraps. We have concrete evidence. Until then, okay, until we all get on the same page and understand what else they have, I am very confident stating the opposite of all of my, I guess, well-paid peers in that I don't believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. And what I also said to them was, and I said this in front of the lawyer because I don't know why I'm like this. I was like, you might need a new lawyer. I was like, because this person's trying to sell to you that this is solid. One of the rules that me and my husband have is that if you have a lawyer that tells you you're 100% going to win, it's very clear that you're going to win. You need a new lawyer. Okay, that's a cheerleader. That's not a lawyer. A lawyer, even if you should 100% win, should be telling you the risks here. I feel good about this case. Let me talk real to you. I feel good about this case, but here's where things could go wrong. I want you to understand those risks that are involved. We don't have this yet. We don't have that yet. And especially given what I told them, which is I'm the only, your lawyers, or the investigators rather, not their lawyers, because they're not the ones investigating. It's the state of Utah that's investigating. They have not called the one solitary person, as I told you guys, who filmed as he was on the roof. Remember the guy that's like, oh, there's somebody on the roof, and he sees him crouch down. I said, I spoke to that person, and his testimony would be devastating to your prosecution. He did not, he saw the person on the roof, he filmed the person on the roof at 12:23 p.m., and he did not see that person take the shot. And this is not some random student. This is a guy who trains people to shoot guns at a range. He knows guns, okay? He said what he saw was a smaller gun. He said that this person was dressed in black tactical gear and there was no recoil. That's devastating. That would be devastating to the prosecution. And yet, investigators haven't reached out. Now, they offered back, well, maybe they haven't reached out because they have an even clearer video. And that's true. That's actually a good rebuttal. They're like, we don't even have to talk to this guy because the video will speak for itself, and we saw what we saw. Okay, but wouldn't you still want to speak?
Yeah, like that doesn't matter. You still want to interview everybody just to make sure that you're not missing any pieces of data if you actually want to make sure you get 100% conviction of this guy. Like, it doesn't matter. If somebody saw something, you interview them. Everybody knows that already. Like, it doesn't matter how minuscule it is. You ask around, like, did they see something? It might have been like I don't know, 1 to 10 seconds. You ask them because they'll give you more of a clear detail. Maybe this person over here didn't exactly see, so they saw most of it, but then they didn't see the first 10 seconds. This guy saw the first 10 seconds and he kind of walked away, and this person started at the 10 second and they kept seeing it. You want to ask that person that saw the first 10 seconds, hey, what'd you see? And then, then you can actually piece it all together.
To the other guy so you could prepare, I don't know, to question him something. I don't like that this investigation is going on, and I feel as though I spoke to more people than they have. Both of the people who filmed videos that day told me that they weren't reached out to. So I don't understand what's happening here. I don't understand the confidence, I guess, is the best way to say this. I told them I do not understand the confidence that is happening. Now, another really big thing that happened was they brought me Mikey's call logs, okay? They brought me Mikey's call logs, and that is why I said this was a productive meeting. There is no other way to say it. I asked every question, and they came with paperwork to show and to answer and to explain certain things. Also, which was, I thought, actually kind of sweet, that I guess I did on the previous show. I was like kind of looking at things into Mikey, and I couldn't find him. And someone said, I think Mikey's not his real name. They thought it was his middle name, actually. And I just assumed, okay, well, maybe he's using his middle name and that's why I can't find him. But Mikey really wants you guys to know that is his real name. And it is his real name. I found out shortly thereafter that they were confusing his middle name with, they thought it was switched. Michael is his real name, just to clarify that, because I realized I actually didn't go back and clarify that. But Mikey's call logs, big piece of this, okay? I'm going to, I guess, jog your memory.
Yeah, she's really not dropping any, actual new information, with any detail at all, really. Yeah. She's definitely trying to make sure that, as a journalist, she can, get more information from other people when other situations come up, that people know that she'll keep her mouth closed when she has these, private conversations, really. So, I think that's really what she's trying to do, but she's trying to drop a little bit of new information without hurting her or it's not even her credibility, her journalistic integrity, really.
On what Blake said about Mikey that day, and then I'll tell you what actually happened, because I don't think Blake has that great of a memory. Okay, take a listen.
So I was not with Mikey, or I don't remember being with him. I think I was ahead of him as we left. And then we get out, and I run for, can't have been more than 15 or 20 seconds. And then I realized there hasn't been another shot, so the shooter has likely been detained or stopped or something, not in immediate danger. I pause, I look around me, and I see Mikey. And I see Mikey there. And I will never forget what I saw, because I've seen Mikey almost every day for the past 2 years. I know his personality very well. He's a very bubbly guy. He's a very happy guy almost all of the time. And I'll never forget what I saw, because it was clear in the moment that he was profoundly freaked out. What I'll always remember is the way his lip was quivering, which I'd never seen before. And you very rarely see from someone that he was freaking out. And then I think he literally said to me, I might be imagining this, but I think what he literally said was, and then he was looking around, and then he says, I need to call Erica. And then he takes his phone and he begins calling Erica. And I don't want to disclose how that call unfolded, but he did that. Your mind extends all of this, but that was happening within a minute of all of this occurring. I remember he calls Erica. Around the same time, I pull out my phone and I call my mom just to say, Mom, there's been a shooting. You're going to see it on the news. I'm okay. Pray for me. I've got to go. And I remember that call. And around the time I put that phone away, and then he immediately calls his dad. He calls Rob McCoy. And he says, Dad, someone shot Charlie. You need to call all of your pastor friends. Charlie was hit. We need everyone to pray right now. And that's what he told him.
Okay, so that's just not right. And so when he says, I might be imagining this, I'll never forget, followed by, I might be imagining this, probably means that maybe you forgot and like you really could be imagining. Now, for me personally, I think the normal physiological response in these high adrenaline situations for most people is you lock in. They're literally your body, when it goes through something, when it's terrified and is going through this sort of like, you are really paying attention to details. We've learned about this many times over in health class growing up. This is why they talk about that fight or flight response, and quite literally there's stuff happening to your body. And so there's a lot of details here that are just not accurate. And the one that surprised me the most about these call logs is I certainly feel that we were given the impression over and over and over again that the first person Mikey called was Erica, right? He called Erica. We were told this by many people also that he trained, like he almost like went to.
Yeah, obviously, like they're gonna talk in a way, obviously, that they're gonna lie, but they're obviously gonna talk in a way that makes them not look as bad to show that they're not as much of a, I guess you could say, like a weakling. Really, like they wanna get the message out there that they basically did everything they could. And they were strong and they were stoic during that terrifying situation. That's really the message I want to get out. But, amen.
To a camp and trained, and Charlie was like, 1, 2, 3, go, and like fast. 1, 2, 3, go, go. That's why he walked away. 1, 2, 3, go, and just told him, this is what the first thing you do is. Well, he didn't do that. Actually, the first person he called was his wife. He called Elizabeth McCoy. And then he stayed on the phone with his wife for 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, he three-wayed Erica 3 minutes after the shot went off. And then he three-ways his father. And then he three-ways a third person who
Let's see. Danny McCoy calls Mickey McCoy. Charlie Kirk shot. Charlie brought to the SUV by security detail. Mikey McCoy calls 10 minutes. Blake Neff calls his mother. Blake Neff phone calls in with his mother. Mikey McCoy adds Erica to the call. Okay, I mean, he probably probably panicked, like calling their loved ones. Then he's like, "Oh, I forgot. I need to actually call Erica."
Not actually mentioning this, it's not relevant. This is Danny McCoy, by the way, is his brother that's in the military, but that's before the shot goes off. Charlie Kirk shot goes off. I had that in detail. Charlie's brought to security. Mikey McCoy calls his wife. They will stay on the phone for 10 minutes. Okay? In that same minute, because we know this, because Blake Neff has given us his call log to his mother, Blake Neff called his mom. His call with his mother lasted 45 seconds. So we're assuming it went to 12:25. It very well could have stayed in 12:24, depending on the millisecond. Blake Neff ends that phone call with his mother. Mikey McCoy, after the phone call with his mother ends, adds Erica to the phone. Okay, so that when he was recapping and he's like, his lips quivering and he's like, I gotta call Erica. And he's like, and then I called my mom. That's not right. That's just not right. Okay, Mikey called Erica after Blake Neff ended that phone call with his mother. If call logs are to be believed above, human testimony. Mikey McCoy then drops Erica from the phone call 2 minutes later, and then he adds his father to the phone call. Again, he is this entire time on the phone with his wife, okay? And then Mikey McCoy ends his phone call with his father. He does call another person who I'm not mentioning because it's just not relevant to anything. not a character in this story, rather. And then he ends the phone call with his wife, and a minute later, his brother calls him back, and they stay on the phone for 10 minutes. I did not get this from everybody speaking about this Mikey McCoy call log. I know that you guys did not get this. I did not get this. I don't know why she was disappeared from this. Like, you could go, look, the wife wants privacy. No, she was like, main stage at the memorial, has been, I would say very involved in a lot of this kind of, I think it's very close that she's close with Erica. They went on the vacation together. So I don't get this disappearing act. I found that to be like, okay, but they were forthcoming with it. That feels good. That feels good, guys. Like, wow, we don't have to guess. Now we have solid answers. And like I said, when you come out and give solid answers and you're not weird and calling people names and saying all this stuff, it allows people to go, okay, I feel a bit more like we can trust this process because we have communication. That's the reality. And so I wanted to update you with that. Also, another thing that really, I think, surprised them and I think surprised me is getting back to this Hamptons retreat. The thing about the Hamptons retreat, and I communicated this with them, that makes me so uncomfortable is how many little lies were told. I think I've been clear about that. Like, Seth Dillon definitively pressed Charlie at this event, and whether it was in a hypothetical, which it was in a hypothetical, but he got fired up in the hypothetical of Charlie discussing potentially tweeting something against Bibi Netanyahu. It did lead to this firecracker moment. Again, this is one of those things where I go, why am I always being hung out to dry for telling people the truth? Especially when I wasn't going, oh, well, Seth Dillon killed Charlie Kirk. This happened. It factually happened. And yet everybody's kind of putting out these weird statements and they're not being honest in them. And I was saying to them, that made me feel really weird. And I would love to know more about this Bibi Netanyahu offer to fund Turning Point to the next level. At which point Erica said she was not aware of that happening. It is obviously totally possible that that was kept in the business lane of Turning Point USA. But I'm certain, I said I am absolutely certain that I did not get this from an obscure source that Bibi offered to fund Turning Point to the next level. And it was part of my frustration with that sit down with Alex Clark, where Andrew said, oh, there was not $150 million, that's made up. I told them, Andrew Kovac was my source. Andrew Kovac told me verbatim that Bibi Netanyahu offered to take Turning Point to the next level and that Charlie turned that money down. So I said there's a bit of a predicament when I'm being lambasted by all of these voices and people that are attacking me and these paid campaigns. And when I say paid, yes, okay, actually have the names of people. Different ways they're being paid. Some are being paid by PR firms. Too many are being paid by Prager University, which is upsetting to me because I know Marissa and it's just dirty. But it's especially crazy when people are calling it a conspiracy when I share things that are told to me from the spokesperson of Turning Point USA. Okay, that's weird. And yes, they were forthcoming. Nobody's ever denied this, so this was not on our list of lies about the fact that Bibi Netanyahu did call him. Okay, that did happen. Bibi shared that, by the way. Our source for that could have just as well been Bibi Netanyahu. And not a lot of clarity on, I don't know, why some people think he didn't make this offer and why definitively 3 different sources who would have knowledge of this confirmed to me that Bibi Netanyahu did indeed make this offer. I never said $150 million ever, not once on the show. I wouldn't have even said that, by the way. If you said take Turning Point to the next level, I actually would have assumed it was more, if I'm being honest. That's a hefty offer and it leads to a lot of questions. So there was not a lot of clarity there. Lastly, I want to add, of course, I was locked in this meeting when people online were another round of debunking the Egyptian planes. I want to be very clear. We discussed the Egyptian planes, and I have since worked on an incredible document about the Egyptian planes, which we are going to put up on our website because I realized that when we shared that spreadsheet, people assumed that one of the columns, which was actually saying where the planes landed on that day, because it was plus or minus 3 days, was exactly where Erica had been on that day, and that was inaccurate. And so for clarity, I had been working on the last week on turning it into an interactive timeline that we can put up on our website, because I'm certain that these Egyptian planes are incredibly shady and that they were in fact tracking Turning Point USA faith broader events. Of course, Erica was at some of them, Charlie was at some of them, but it is the pattern here is undeniable. So let the naysayers and people make videos trying to, what are we, fifth round debunk these planes. I also want to say to you that I feel very confident that I know why these planes have caused such panic, and it is because there is overwhelming evidence that these planes regularly fly in and out of Israel. And I'm going to present that evidence tomorrow. I say that strongly. This is I feel very confident saying these Egyptian planes are flying in and out. And notice I'm saying planes because once I was able to connect people that were on those planes onto other Egyptian planes, I was able to realize that these planes are flying in and out of Israel and turning their transponder off each time that they do it. That is now makes perfect sense of why there was this mass panic, right? It's not exactly like we have a strong Egyptian lobby in the United States. Now we're like, whoa, well, those darn Egyptians again are trying to get TikTok censored. I mean, every person in the game, Barry, acting. Well, these are the usual suspects that act if something is a threat to Israel, okay? Which is, they should have just been forthcoming, pretended that it was changing apart. Instead, they're trying to gaslight us, and they're actually, frankly, just pissing me off. So I became locked in on these Egyptian planes because that's how I am, okay? You keep pushing me and keep pushing me, I will become an expert on these planes. I'll learn how to build an Egyptian plane. The reality is, like I said, tomorrow I will show you how these planes tie back to Israel. And there's no disproving this. So more on that later.
Cool. All right. Well, after this, she starts doing her sponsorship stuff. But yeah, man, I see why she's getting a lot of dislikes on this video because like she doesn't really say anything. It's more like she's kind of just rambling. Really, like there's nothing really ever really said. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna start actually posting on Rumble too, some of my content, because I don't know what YouTube, like I was getting some views and then all of a sudden it's just like crashing. It's basically like I'm not getting any. So yeah, I'm gonna start posting on YouTube, Rumble, and maybe I might start posting on Twitter. So thanks for watching.